Hi everyone, good afternoon. Let me know if you can see me and hear me okay. I am not in my normal spot. I thought it would be nicer to do this outside, so let me know if the wind is too much or if my internet connection is unstable, because I will gladly go back inside if need be. If you are not familiar with me, my name is Jacqui Mancuso, and I will chat about myself for just a few minutes before we get started. Anik, hello. All good, so pretty where you are. Thank you. So I'm in northern Illinois, and we are having a 65-degree day, so my summer has officially started. So I am a Reiki Master, I'm a yoga instructor, I'm a crystal Reiki practitioner, an intuitive healer, an animal healer, a self-studied astrologer, and a self-studied EFT practitioner. So that is who I am professionally. Personally, and all over the place, hi Rick, nice to see you. Guys, feel free to say hi also as you're coming in. So I am a rising Aquarius. So my chart ruler is Uranus, and Uranus is the planet of just like unexpected, crazy, weird stuff. So I'm a pretty weird person, right? And here's my background. So when I was a kid, I used to try to fit in, and I would try to hide all of that weird part of me. And I didn't really know where I fit in. I didn't really know what walk of life I wanted to go on, so I was just kind of stumbling around. I was raised in the Catholic Church, but never really embraced what I was supposed to be learning there. So it wasn't until about 2012 I was at a restaurant with my dad, and that was the first time that he told me that the only reason he took us to church was just to be a good role model, a good father, and that not necessarily like the teachings of the religious part was what he was trying to put into us. It was the spirituality. And he was explaining how you could believe in the trees if you wanted to. You could believe in the universe. It didn't have to be a magical man up there on a cloud. And that was when things started finally like turning. The wheels started turning in my head, and I started being able to embrace this higher power. Around the same time, a couple years after that, I acquired a roommate who was into crystals and Reiki and muscle testing, and I thought that he was this just like magical person who had special gifts, and that he was like called and led to this place in his life, and it was only for him, and it was only for people who were invited to that area. He was the first one to take me to a Reiki session, so I experienced Reiki for the first time because of this roommate that just happened to stumble into my life. And at the same time, I was also working with someone else who was very into astrology. So I was just eating all this up. I was watching Phil work with his crystals, and he was also a Reiki practitioner, but he hid it, and he would do Reiki on our dogs, and I would see the dogs like be freaking out and they're fighting, and then he would sit there for 5 minutes, calm them down, and it was like mind-blowing. So I saw all of this very separate at the time. I saw that Phil had his energy work and Matt had his stars and planets. So I kept all of this just kind of swallowed within me for the years as I stumbled through life again, not knowing where I was going, just kind of trying to figure it out. I finished college and I started my career as a PE teacher, which was a lot of fun. And then the world shut down a little bit over 2 years ago on Friday the 13th. And I was at home working literally 1 hour a day. So what did I want to do with the other 23 hours of my day? And I realized I had a choice. I could either live in fear or I could make the best of the free time that I did have. So I went ham. I went to town and I started researching every single thing that I was interested in. And at that time, I was starting my Saturn return, and my Saturn return happens in my 12th house. So I was having this big 30-year life revelation in the house of the unknown, the occult, the mysterious. So I was just super interested in all this stuff. So I dove way into astrology. I dove into energy healing, dove into tarot, runes, EFT crystals, the moon cycle. I started learning about human design. I started doing a little bit of palmistry. I started working with manifestation and affirmations and just learning how powerful all of those are. This is when I did all of my Reiki training. I got into animal healing. I was certified as a yoga instructor. I just went in every direction that I could. And through all of these things is when I started realizing that it's not all separate. Everything is connected. Because I was saying it all these years about the body, right? A student would come up to me and say, hey, my elbow hurts. Why does my elbow hurt? Well, what did you do to your shoulder last week? And having a middle schooler try to process that it's neat to teach them that everything is connected. So I'd been saying the saying for all of these years, and then I realized that it's literally everything. Everything is connected. And all of these spiritual modalities that are out there, all of these teachings, it's all inside of us already. We already know it. We've just been covered with illusions. So now is the time that all of us, I believe, are pulling away these illusions so that we can uncover the truth of what is really inside of us. So with all that being said, I quit my career as a PE teacher and I started my own business last July. And by started a business, I meant I made a website and business cards and said, we'll see how this goes. But with all of the things that I had been learning through all these years and all of the spiritual awakening that I had been on, I just had so much trust in the universe and it hasn't let me down yet. So through all of this, I had 1.5 million questions, and I still have 1 million questions, but I had lots of mentors and I was always looking for help. I'm the baby of 10 kids also, so I have no problem asking someone who knows more than I do. So I was so appreciative of all the people that I learned from along my path, and I would love to be that person for you guys. So that's why we're here today. I am here to answer whatever questions you have. Nothing is crazy, nothing is out there, so feel free to just throw them in the chat and we'll see where it goes. Looks like Kitty is in Minnesota and interested to learn more about astrology. Astrology was one of my original leaping off points, and there's so much to learn. I'm still learning more and more about astrology every day, but it's a really good place to start. I recommend Pam Gregory is actually a very good astrologer that I like a lot. She has videos on YouTube. I'll type her name in the chat for you. She is extremely intelligent. She puts out videos twice a month regarding whatever's happening around the new moon, whatever's happening around the full moon. And then sometimes she'll do little blurbs here and there if there's a lot of stuff going on. But I went through a few astrologers and I would watch their videos every so often, and some of them I vibed with, some of them I didn't. And it's all about just finding who you resonate with. There's a lot of people out there who have a lot of information, but some of them don't say it the way that you're going to hear it best. So if you're interested in Pam Gregory, check her out. There's a whole bunch of others out there, but we'll see. So what questions do you guys have? The floor is yours. What are you guys doing for the full moon on Friday? We have a full moon coming up in just 2 days. Anik, I'm in my yard with muddy dogs and a wonky connection, so I'm missing bits, but I'm so glad you mentioned feeling like intuitive people are special and the rest of us are potatoes. Bonnie, is there a better way to face when doing yoga? I love that question, and I feel like I've heard this because I know different directions embody different elements, and I don't know them off the top of my head. But I do know that like facing north, you're working with the air energy, and facing south, you're working with earth energy or something like that. And I guess it depends on what your goal is for your yoga class. But in my experience, no, I haven't done anything specific with facing a certain way, but I'd be interested to hear what you find with that. I feel like there's something else that I know about that I want to say. I guess if you're facing east, you would be working with the sunrise, and that gives me more of a yang energy feel, so more of like an assertive, moving forward, male type energy. And if you're facing the west, you'd be working with the energy of yin, of the sunset. So I feel like maybe if you're doing a restorative practice, face the west. That's just kind of what my gut is saying. Thanks. I read face south for exercise and north for meditation. Interesting. And I wonder if that's just intuitive, because when I teach here on Insight Timer, where I stand in my house, I am facing south when I teach yoga. Very interesting. I wanted to go back to Anik's comment about feeling like intuitive people are special, and I just want you guys all to know that any spiritual modality that you're interested in, any gurus that you have followed, you have 100% of those gifts inside of you. We're all like, we all have all these we're all clairvoyant, we're all clairaudient, we're all clairsentient. Like, all of us have all of these magical abilities, and it's just the society that we live in. We've been masked, like things have been placed on us that we need to uncover now in our adult lives. Some of us have more conditioning than others, so some of us, it takes us a longer time to bring these gifts back up. But if you've noticed, like, kids are super intuitive. Kids are very in tune with stuff. They have a lot of gut feelings, a lot of gut reactions. Kids see ghosts. They talk to people in other dimensions. And that's just because those kids haven't been indoctrinated with what society says that is normal or that should be happening. So just know that if there's anything that you're being called to, that it's just the universe's way of guiding you in that direction, letting you know that it's time. It's time for you to remember that you have these gifts. What about, is there anything that you guys are working on now? Like, is there anything that you guys are focusing on studying? Any specific modalities? Keith, hello from Ireland. Very welcome. Nice to have you. Feel free to ask away whatever the session is for you guys. Anik, I'm starting to more actively research and get into things I've always been drawn to but thought I couldn't do it. That's beautiful. That's so self-empowering. Kitty, don't think my chats are coming through. Uh-oh. Oh, Anik, you've helped so much. Thank you. You're showing up to the stuff. Kitty, let's see. The last chat I have from you is when you said, hi from Minnesota, interested to learn more about astrology. So maybe they're not, which is strange. I was wondering what to make of Sun, Moon, and Rising all being Libra. Kitty, do you by chance know what house all of that happens within your chart? Just curious. But having all of your big three, as they call it, so if you hear astrologers talk about the big three, they're talking about the sun, the moon, and whatever sign was rising on the eastern hemisphere at the moment that you were born. There's Darla back there. Kitty, not sure if I'm doing it right or what site to use for a birth chart. So my favorite, and it's easy to remember, is astro.com. It's Astro Dentist. But it's just astro.com, free birth chart. If you know the time of day that you were born, then you can figure out your rising sign, which is physically in the real world, it's the constellation that was rising on the eastern hemisphere at the moment that you were born. So having all three of your big three in one specific sign just like supercharges that energy, and that gives you a stellium in Libra for sure, and then depending on how your house system is laid out, you might have a stellium in one of your specific houses. So a stellium means that you have 3 or more planets or placements, because the rising isn't a planet, 3 or more placements either in one sign or in one house. It just gives you a whole lot of that type of energy. So the sun is your soul. It's who you are striving to be in this lifetime. Sun in Libra represents people who are always striving to bring balance to their lives, whether that is with their own their own dealings, or by always being the balancer, the mediator between the people that they're around. Having your rising sign as a Libra, your rising sign is your first impression. It's kind of how people see you before they really get to know you. And people who have their sun conjunct rising, so the sun and rising are in the same sign, I just feel that they are the most authentic people, because what you see is what you get. So even when people meet you, they feel like they know you already. So you come off as a person who likes to keep the balance, keep the peace. Libras are also very sensual and like beautiful. Like they like things to just feel peaceful and homely all the time. They're ruled by Venus. Your moon in Libra, I also have my moon in Libra, and this deals with your emotions. So as far as your emotions are concerned, if you're having a really good day, sometimes you might need to balance that out with having a really bad day. So I feel like moon in Libra, if we swing one way, we're gonna swing back the other way. And most of the time, I feel like moon in Libra likes to keep their emotions pretty stable. We don't get too excited and we don't get too upset, because we know that it's just gonna throw the scales off in the opposite direction. But if you are able to look up which house all of that is happening within, that can give you a little bit of insight into which area of your life has just a whole lot of supercharged energy. And this is an area of your life where a lot of opportunities for lessons and a lot of opportunities for growth can show up. Definitely want to keep the peace, don't have a poker face, and like balance, so all that rings true for me. Thanks, you're welcome, Kitty. It is not super common to have all three in one sign, so embrace it. I would embrace that Libra energy for sure. So with the spring equinox happening next Sunday, on Sunday, that'll be opposite of all your stuff. Spring equinox is when the sun enters Aries. So that'll be happening almost directly opposite of everything that you've got going on. So I would imagine the spring equinox and also the autumn equinox can be kind of powerful times in your life. I've talked about it a couple times before on my Insight Timer lives, but the spring equinox, in my opinion, is a really good time, like a better time than the New Year's resolution time, to set your intentions and to like start your new journeys. Because when we use the Gregorian calendar, when we enter a new calendar year, we are still in the dead of winter. We're in this time when we're supposed to be resting, right? And it's not until spring comes that it is time to start new and time to start fresh and plant the new seeds and start growing and watch things blossom around us. So it's a tradition that I hold true to. If your New Year's resolutions are not going as planned, give yourself some credit and understand that we live in a universe that has seasons. So maybe taking those New Year's resolutions and readjusting them for how you can start them again on Sunday, knowing that we're coming into this time of rebirth. Thank you so much for your donation, Kitty. I appreciate that. If any of you would like to work one-on-one with me for a chart reading, you can find my website in my Insight Timer bio and contact me through there. It is lakesidelivinghhealer.com, hence the lake. So we got the spring equinox coming up right after our full moon in Virgo. So Friday, we have a full moon at 27 degrees of Virgo, and it happens, at least Central Time, it happens at 2:17 a.m. So if any of you guys leave your moon water out overnight, be sure to leave that out tomorrow night so that the full moon will charge it up. And let's see, the full moon is a really good time to release everything that no longer serves you, but also to celebrate everything that you have cultivated in your life since the new moon. So if you work with the cycles of the moon a lot, the new moon is the time to set new intentions, plant new seeds that you'd like to see grow in your life throughout that moon cycle. So on the full moon, I like to just pay amends, just recognize everything that I have manifested in my own life over the last month, 2 weeks, depending if you're going from new moon to full moon or from full moon to full moon, and then just releasing everything else, letting the moon wash it away. Bonnie, what is moon water? Moon water is really just water that is charged by the energy of the moon. So I use it pretty religiously. I put out 2 really big, like, gallon jugs. I leave it out whenever the full moon will be the brightest. So if too many details, doesn't matter. You can leave it out pretty much within 3 days before or after the full moon and it will still get charged. But just leaving water out for a few hours under the full moon gives the water, it picks up like the energetic properties of the full moon. And then you can use that water either to drink, you can use it in your bath water, you can use it in an oil diffuser and diffuse it into your house. You could use it for other rituals if you use water in any way. I like to drink my moon water when I'm in a meditative state. I feel like it amplifies what I'm doing in my meditative state. But it's just a little routine that I've gotten into. It's nothing super fancy, nothing super special. The full moon is also a really good time to charge your crystals, like cleanse and charge your crystals. So if you have crystals in your house, if they are not near a windowsill, you can put them either on a windowsill or, depending on the climate, you can leave them outside overnight. When the weather gets warmer, I'll set my crystals outside. I just don't feel like standing outside and picking them all up the next morning when it's cold. But most of them are totally fine to be outside overnight. Coming up next week, we have a lot of Mercury energy. Starting on Monday, there's a lot of Mercury aspects in the sky currently. So Mercury is the planet of communication, thoughts, ideas, how you manifest your intentions, how you manifest your ideas. And next week, Mercury will be moving through Neptune, and he's going to touch Jupiter on Monday, then he's going to touch Neptune on Wednesday, and then on Saturday, he's going to be in another harmonious aspect. He's going to be sextile to Pluto. So from Monday to Saturday next week, just pay attention to your thoughts. Mercury being in Pisces and then coming conjunct with Jupiter and coming conjunct with Neptune. Those 2 planets are the modern and the ancient rulers of Pisces. Lost my words for a second. So Jupiter is the ancient ruler of Pisces, and then once Neptune was discovered, Neptune then took over and now is the modern ruler of Pisces. So when Mercury comes and touches with Jupiter, your thoughts, Mercury, will be expanded, Jupiter, as far as your dreams and your mysticism and your creativity. So that's happening on Monday. Wednesday, it's going to be Neptune. Neptune's all dreamy and beautiful and great, but sometimes he can lead us to escapism, to like overindulging in things. So just keep in mind, and Wednesday is ruled by Mercury. So next Wednesday, Jupiter is going to come conjunct with Neptune in the sign of Pisces. So astrology is always your choice. There's never a thing in astrology that dooms you to something. It's always about how you use the energy. So to use it in the high expression, next Wednesday, I recommend setting aside more time than usual to be in a state of meditation or to journal or to do whatever allows you to dream. Like dream up the best life that you could possibly imagine for yourself. Because in April, I've been talking about this for a little while now, April 12th, Jupiter and Neptune are coming conjunct in Pisces. So as I was just explaining, they're the traditional and the ancient rulers of Pisces. The two of them come conjunct about every 13 years, but the last time they were conjunct in their own sign of Pisces was 166 years ago. So what was that, like the mid to late 1800s? And there was a very large spiritual revolution around that time. People were coming out of the idea of religion and just accepting more spirituality, witchcraft kind of stuff, even though it's not witchcraft, but you get what I'm saying. So that's going to happen on April 12th. So up until then, all of this energy is building, and it's already here. Those planets now, I believe, are 6 or 8 degrees apart, and they're just going to get closer and closer and closer. So just for reference, in astrology, there are 30 degrees in each sign. So something is considered conjunct when they're 10 degrees or closer. So technically, Jupiter and Neptune are conjunct, so this mystical woo-woo energy is here, and it's just going to get stronger and stronger and stronger until they come exactly conjunct, and then it'll stick with us until probably end of May, mid-June. So just knowing to pay attention to your dreams now, work on manifesting everything that you desire. The universe is helping us do all of that right now. So maybe setting a huge intention for yourself for the spring equinox, because the spring equinox sets up the whole next astrological year. So if you have a wonderful intention, if you know how you're stepping into this zodiac cycle, you can set yourself up for success for the next 12 months, especially because of this Jupiter-Neptune conjunction that's going on, all of this Pisces energy that's in the air. So allow yourself to be dreamy. Let me know, what are you guys trying to manifest right now? What is the kind of life that you would like to create for yourself? I feel like we're in a time in the universe where literally anything is possible. Whatever you desire, you got it. As long as, like, you just need to know the right tools. You just need to know, and you need to be open to learning the right tools to make it happen for you. But all of this stuff is here. If there's not too many questions today, we could cut it short. Those are all the ramble talking points that I had today. Why don't I pull a card for us all, and we'll see if that sparks something. I'm going to pull a card from Ask Your Guides, just a little bit of guidance and a message that your spirit guides will bring to you all today. I'm glad to have been able to spend this time outside. I haven't been able to sit and relax outside in Illinois since, I don't know, October. I've been outside, but I haven't been enjoying it. And Darla loves it. I don't know if you could see her back there, that little black dot in the corner. She is a very spiritual dog. She will find a tree and plant herself, and she'll sit right by that tree for hours and hours, and she just likes to smell the air. She just loves nature. She's my nature girl. Kitty, I think I have some more learning to do, but I appreciate all your input and guidance. Of course, you are so very welcome. And we all have more learning to do. The learning never stops. And if you are following someone who thinks that they know it all, that's a little dangerous. Because nobody ever knows everything. We got a flyer. Our card today flew out of the deck. It is number 15, and it is Victory from our Divine Helpers. The keywords for this card are triumph, leadership, success, and accomplishment. Your Divine Helpers are present, bearing the good news that whatever you've been working on will succeed. The bad news? Well, there really isn't any bad news, but there is reality, which in your case suggests that you can fully enjoy your success only if you recognize that you didn't get where you are by yourself. This isn't to suggest that you must diminish your light or be falsely modest in your achievements, not by a long shot. You deserve to shine, so please do. Your Divine Helpers simply remind you to be grateful and acknowledge the contributions of those who have helped you get where you are. This includes your spirit helpers and guides as well. One final word. With success comes the challenge of standing alone in your light. Of course, you've heard the saying, it's lonely at the top, but it doesn't have to be if you remember how to get there. Your Divine Helper's message is share the spotlight. Beautiful. Well, this sounds like a wonderful card. We were just talking about that Aries Equinox, starting the new zodiac season. Whatever you are striving for right now, victory is yours. And this card just reminds us to always pay respect to those who have helped us get to where we are. Lovely, lovely. I'll just leave the floor open for one more moment. See if you guys have any questions. I am ready and willing to talk all day. Or let me think of anything else I could talk about. Thanks, Bonnie. Peace to you also, my dear. I've been learning more and more about the human design. I feel like it's difficult to find resources on the human design because it's newer and it is not so popular. But if you're not aware, the human design is another type of chart. It's your human design. It's astrology plus like 5 other different types of modalities all rolled into one. So in the human design, there are 4 energy types, and you fall into one of the 4, either a manifestor, a generator, a reflector, or there's one more, and it's only like 1% of the population. Can't remember what they're called right now. So there's those 4. But there's also an overlap, so you could also be a manifesting generator. I myself am a manifester, and I am learning how all of this works, but I was just listening to a training earlier today, and I was learning that my signature theme is peace. So whenever I'm able to cultivate peace in my life, so thank you, Bonnie, for the reminder, is when things start to align in my life. So perhaps look into your human design. It's another way to learn more about yourself and to learn how you are designed. Michelle, generator, wonderful. Thank you for doing all of the hard work for us that don't want to do all the hard work. The majority of the population are generators and manifesting generators. I think you guys make up like 70% of the population. And generators have, what is it? I think you guys have a defined sacral center. So the The centers in the human design are similar to the chakras, but they're not the chakras. When you get your chart, it looks like a little man, and then he has a bunch of triangles and squares around his body. Some of them are filled in with a color, and some of them are not. So I believe it's the sacral center that generators have defined or filled in, and that gives you guys just all of this oomph. Like if you're doing something that you enjoy, you're able to do it for 6-8 hours at a time. Other energy types don't have that. They have a very short attention span. They can put their mind to something really hard for a few hours and then they're just done so. Anik, how did you find the right way to start your Reiki studies? At an institute, online, with a local master? What worked or didn't work for you? Very good question. I don't know if I found the right way to do my Reiki training, but what I did find is something that worked for me, and I liked it, so I kept going. So in the very beginning, I was talking about my roommate Phil, who moved in with me in 2014-ish, and he was a Reiki level 1 practitioner, and he took me to my first Reiki session ever. And this woman at the time, she lived like an hour away from us. So, right for you, I mean, yeah. I know what you mean, Anik. I just like to challenge when people say right or wrong, because I don't think that those words belong in our human dictionary. So, Phil took me to see this lady. She was about an hour away from me. That was in 2014. So, 6 years go by, and it was presented to me from my acupuncturist. I was going for acupuncture. I'd have all these spiritual woo-woo conversations with the lady, and she's like, you need to start Reiki. Like, you need to get your foot in the door with the spiritual stuff and see where it takes you. So I don't even remember how I remembered this lady's name, but she was the one that gave me a treatment 6 years prior. So I looked her up, and I saw that she had a level 1 class within the next 3 weeks. So I said, thank you, universe, this is meant for me. And I went to level 1, and I just liked her style. So I went home, I practiced it for a little bit, and then I signed up right away for level 2, practiced that for a little bit, signed up right again to be a Reiki master, and it just happened. So if you are thinking about studying Reiki, so I guess I'm biased to the in-person training because it's easier to feel it in the beginning when you're in person. When you start to learn distance Reiki, it's nice to have that in-person stuff under your belt before you learn how to send it through the web of interconnectedness. I think in-person is really important. When you start, yes it is. And then when you learn to tap into this web of interconnectedness, when you learn how to connect with anybody at any time in any place, it becomes a little less, I don't want to say less important, but it's easier to learn in different fashions. So there is Illinois Association of Reiki Practitioners. So I believe it's IARP, or not, maybe that is Illinois, because I forget that only I live in Illinois and not all of you. Or that might be international. Take a look at IARP, International Association of Reiki Practitioners, and there are, I haven't registered for it yet because I just haven't had the money to throw at that, but people who register with IARP, they are listed. So if you're looking for a Reiki master just to do in-person on you, or if you're looking for a Reiki master teacher who can get you started on your Reiki journey, that's a good place to start. There's an international one in Michigan. I'm pretty sure it stands for International Association, and Illinois just rolled off my tongue because everything in my life is always Illinois. But I highly recommend every person at least getting a Reiki level 1 certificate. It's a magical thing to have under your belt. And that's the only way that I can describe it. Reiki has literally changed my life. It's changed the way that I've looked at life. It's changed the way that I interact with a lot of things in my life. Yeah. I use it hundreds of times a day. Every time I pour a glass of water, I send Reiki to it. Every time I eat a meal, I send Reiki to it. Every time I start one of these sessions, I send Reiki to the session. Every time I pull cards for myself, which is more than one time a day, I send Reiki to the reading. It's habit now. It's second nature. And it's brought nothing but good things to my life. And if everybody on the world was letting Reiki energy flow through them on a consistent basis, whew, this whole world would be sparkling. Those are my chickens. That's Shadow. She's screaming to be let out for the day. But I need to monitor them when they're out, so I didn't want to let them out just yet. But she's very, very vocal. Well, thank you guys for joining me today. I will be back tomorrow with my daily oracle at 9:45 a.m. Central. And then on Friday, I'll be back with my 8:15 time slot for my daily oracle reading. And then on Friday, because of the full moon in Virgo, I am teaching a grounding Reiki yoga class here on Insight Timer at 9:15 Central. And if you haven't followed my Insight Timer profile, you can do that to stay updated when I post new classes. Kitty, do you teach Reiki? I am not a Reiki Master teacher just yet, but that is definitely on my list for the next year. Within the next year, I will be a Reiki Master teacher. And I would love to be able to offer that online. Especially now being here on Insight Timer, I have people all over the world that come and have a relationship with me, and I'd like to be able to offer stuff to everybody. But no, not yet. I love that answer though, not yet. If you guys have enjoyed today's session, you might consider supporting me with a donation. And if anything else, I would love to see you here on my lives, or again, if you'd like to work one-on-one with me, you can find my website on my Insight Timer profile. Thank you for being here. I love sharing this space with you guys, and I love creating more relationships with all of you. So I hope to see you very soon, perhaps tomorrow morning for an oracle reading. Love to all. Namaste. Take care.